we are able to do some of the world's biggest films. We are creating Ramayan.
For me, Ravana is the most exciting character to play as an actor.
To bring all our experience from our recent movies into that whole thing. Brahmastra, which just got us the national award. Hi, I'm Merzin Tavaria, co-founder and global president of DNEG, which is one of the world's largest creative media services company. And you're watching India's VFX revolution. India has been slowly working its way up the value chain in visual effects for a very long time. We are a company that started 30 years back, but actually have gotten into visual effects maybe about 25 years back in a very big way. And from then, we're one of the only companies that actually ventured out of India and put India on the global VFX map. Even in India, things are changing in a very rapid way. Every few years there is a sort of a leapfrog where suddenly we have opportunities where we are able to utilize some of our international capabilities for our Indian market as well, and that helps the overall industry in India and the talent pool grow. We've been growing the talent pool for a very long time, knowing that at some point it's all about the scale of the operation that we've been doing for the last whatever number of years. So India has always had the benefit of a large talent pool, but the talent pool has not been groomed. Through the growing years and our sort of growing pains that we've also had, we've been training talent and growing and mentoring a lot of talent. At first, it was all about scale and it was about more labor-intensive work. But I've always wanted it to be where we are able to do some of the cutting-edge work in India. So as we've been on our journey of acquiring international companies, bringing some of that knowledge into India and taking India to the world, I don't believe in just of it being an India-centric, sort of a talent pool. We are a global talent pool, and India plays a very large part. So it's not like just bringing outsource work into India, but we are actually doing work at a very high level for the global markets. So over the years, we've been building that capability in India, and today we are able to do some of the world's biggest films, blockbusters that happen, and India plays, the India talent plays a very large part in that. So I would like to beg to differ on that. There is no difference because it all depends on which project you're talking about. There can be always the cliched answer of budgets. Budgets do play a big part in this because everything is time and money. And when you're talking about when we're doing any one of our bigger films, we've got maybe 1,000+ people working across the globe or have touched the film at any point. That when you spread across, let's say, maybe about 6-8 months, for an average movie, that's a lot of people and a lot of cost that gets added in. So yes, that is of course there. But at the same time, I think it's very important that we understand the whole workflow of making movies. If we keep visual effects as the front end, things can't work. It's the film, it's the project that matters, it's the story that matters. And once you get serious about filmmaking with visual effects is just a tool. And the same way when you are doing a complex action sequence and it needs to be shot with multiple cars and it's going to take maybe 5 days of shoot as compared to a small budget film which has to do it in one day. It's almost the same logic that applies, that when you're doing massive visual effects movies, it requires prep, it requires design of actually what are we going to shoot, the pre-visualization of that, conceptualizing what is that world that we are going to be in. All of those things when we are putting together, that requires a very a disciplined approach from the filmmakers to all of the people involved in that whole chain. And so it's a team effort. And so that is the focus that is needed. A lot of filmmakers are now adapting that way of filmmaking. sometimes, or in the past, it's always been, we can't afford to shoot it, so let's do visual effects. Sure, it helps. Some things are cheaper maybe or faster to do it in post, but this is not post-production. This is visual effects, which is part of the actual filmmaking process. It doesn't come at the end. It actually starts way before even the film is shot. So we are seeing that change happening. We've seen some big movies in India also take up that process. The work in that, what we've done in a lot of our movies is, I believe, spectacular, and I really like the opportunity to work on our own movies. Through the years, as we've evolved, we've had a lot of success, even in the last couple of movies that we did with Brahmastra, which just got us the national award. I think it was almost like a coming home for us to be able to use that and really support the filmmakers to that level, to boost that to another level. I'm quite pleased with that. Of course, there is a lot more that we would like to do, but similarly, through the years, we've seen where simple wire removal was a very difficult thing. In those early days, we used to do a lot more so-called computer graphics in advertising and lesser in movies, because it was film and the digital process was not yet started. But we brought in that whole thing into the country, and we started building on that, bringing those tools of DI, visual effects, motion control, all of those things to the Indian filmmakers. To be able to start slowly propping up the industry in that. And with some of our latest projects, like when we worked on even Kalki, that was a nice way where we were able to bring all our experience from our recent movies into that whole thing. Over the years, with all our acquisitions internationally and the technology that we've been developing, it helps and aids in taking that quality bar up, at the same time taking that, giving the flexibility of visual storytelling to that. Fighter was another kick-ass movie that we were able to really, contribute to. Sure, I mean, there will be projects which sometimes don't work out that well. There will be many reasons for that, but some of these have done really well, and it's really a good sort of moment when visual effects is great and the movie hits a chord at the box office. That's absolute validation. The great part about Indian film directors for me, Indian filmmakers for me, on a very individual level, is being able to work on a one-on-one basis, engage in actually the storytelling, be part of a bigger part in the filmmaking process. That's the advantage that we have out here. Internationally, it's a much bigger system. It's a studio system. It works a little differently. But the difference between both the filmmakers, I think, it's very little. It's all the same. The scale is different. When we make our Indian films, obviously it's for a set market. When we are making a global film and the dollar figure is much higher, you're doing it for the rest of the world, which means that there are a lot more executives involved. There's a lot more, sort of scrutiny that is there. But at the same time, filmmakers are filmmakers at heart, and we are all filmmakers at heart, and we want the best for the product. So storytelling doesn't change anywhere in the world. When we are working with George Miller on Furiosa, it's again a different experience, but it just brings back memories of engaging with filmmakers directly and giving them that luxury of, you go ahead and make the movie, we'll support you with telling that story. The directors are, like I said earlier, they are adapting the new way of functioning. There are a lot more, even just post-pandemic to, let's say, even the last year, we've had way more technology and tools that have come in to aid that filmmaking process. So the Indian filmmakers are now, really jumping onto that bandwagon and dreaming big. pushing that envelope, and we've seen that with all of these new movies that have come. I said earlier, the filmmakers are daring to dream, and we are pushing that along to say, go ahead, think big. And that's what even in Brahmastra we did, where Namit Malhotra, the owner of DNEG, absolutely pushed that concept forward, like, we will back you, go for it and make it happen. And that's how we brought in the world of Brahmastra. At the same time, some of the other films that we are talking about right now, we're operating in a similar way, where we're saying push it forward. The market for Indian content is growing. The industry is lapping up visual effects based movies, which is a very good thing, and I hope it continues. We don't have our superhero films, but we definitely have our sort of universes, whether it is Kalki or whether it is any one of these other movies that are coming up. To further push that along, we are embarking on our own product, where we are involved with Ramayan. We are creating Ramayan and producing it so that we bring that story to the world.
For me, Ravana is the most exciting character to play as an actor.
So that's how the market is evolving. But at the same time, we have India and DNEG playing a huge part in the global VFX landscape, where we're doing a huge part of the content that is created in the global market, and India plays a big role in that as well. We have a lot of eagerness and hunger from the younger talent pool that wants to come up and learn this and get into this industry. It is today a viable profession. 20, 30 years, it wasn't. It was like, a lot of parents would say, okay, now that you've tried it out, let's get into something more, get a serious job. But today, there are a lot more institutions, there are a lot more courses that are available that actually train you. Is it good enough just to be trained out there and you're production ready? No, that doesn't happen. That's on each one of the, industry players to actually bring in that crop and actually nurture them. That's how you learn. The pandemic and the work from home has not been favorable for that. It's impacting a little bit, I would say. It's hurting the industry overall globally. It's nothing about just India. So that I would definitely, advise the people. Controversial, they may not want to do that, but I think it's time to bring everyone back into the offices, bring in that team culture, because that's how you nurture talent. Are there institutions that are there to train? Yes, there are institutions to train, but that's like going to college. When did you ever go to college or university and just start acing it at your job? Experience is everything. Mentoring is everything. There's no shortcuts. It is not easy. It's hard. What we do is incredibly hard. Hats off to the people that work on this, on the finer points. We may be working on this, and the people really burn blood, in working on these movies. So I know AI comes up as, in multiple different ways. Sometimes it's about the new buzzword, AI. Yes, there is a lot more focus on it. There's a lot more sophisticated tools around it today, with ChatGPT and all of that coming up, where generative AI is a word now. But machine learning and stuff like that has been around for some time and has been used in different industries in different ways. The second part of that is, oh my God, AI is going to take away jobs. Yeah, it will in some way. But it's like, in the older times, if you had to write a novel, you wrote it. And when the typewriter came in, you still had to use the typewriter as a tool. Same also when a computer came in, it's not like all the other jobs went away. Yes, some of it changed. You had to adapt to new technology. And so also when smartphones came in, the older phone went out and the older, technology changed and people adapted to that. So also AI is a tool and will help enhance tools so that you can focus on other things, and everyone has to adapt to that. And is it going to just start automatically making movies? And I think there are a lot of other industries that should be, thinking about that before it even reaches that point, because there is a creative element involved. There is human intelligence involved in all of that. So it's not something that's just going to magically just take away jobs. It will make things better. We feel that it will help us get out of the mundane and again focus on the highly creative work. AI is helping and generative AI is getting better at making images and movie clips, but it's a long way off from actually just leaving everything up to it. So it's a good initiative. It's something that the industry does need to come together. Through the years, it's always been about just everyone sticking to their own little corners, because we are a small scale industry. We are not more of a mature industry. So I still call us, even though I said earlier we were at 10,000 at one point, I still call us ourselves a startup, because you're constantly breaking it down and building it all over again. So we do want to get to a state where it gets a lot more organized, and we get a lot more recognition for it, and for that the industry needs to come together, which is what I'm hoping, and I hope is the sort of aim for the AVGC task force, to bring everyone together and represent it as a body to the outside world, whether it's to the government or it's to the financial institutions or to the larger industry, where we are on being taken a little bit more seriously, because we are very much a large industry today with the number of people, jobs involved, and there is a lot more needed to support this. Like I said, for us, where we are nurturing talent from scratch, and we need to be at the forefront and the cutting edge of technology, which means infrastructure costs, hardware costs, everything is hitting us in a big way. We need a body to represent us, to come together and help the industry get that added support from all around. So as DNEG, I don't call it DNEG India, because there is no such thing as India. It's one global company. We are prime focus at heart, and that's how we started each of our different businesses, whether it's of post-production, DI, sound, cameras, shooting floors. So now is when we are bringing it all together as an end-to-end creative service that we are providing. And also we're, like I said, getting into the content side of things to be able to produce our own IP, where we can utilize our complete bouquet of services to create content. Thank you for watching IGN, and please subscribe and for more great content out here. Thank you.